Oh, hey everyone. Hello and welcome back to Jack Knives Reviews. I'm of course your host, Jack Knives. With Jackoween shortly around the corner, I decided to kind of want to start the whole festive theme month. And with that, I wanted to try something a little different. I'm not just going to be reviewing flat out one specific theme, more of a cultural theme. And I kind of wanted to talk about things that are relatively new, so that way people that haven't seen them or haven't heard of them have an opportunity to take a look at them. So this month is going to be Game Month. All throughout September, I'm going to have a couple of different reviews where I talk about either things based on games or biographies of games and how they started. With that being said, let's start with what could be considered one of the first games ever, Pinball, with my review of Pinball, the Man Who Saved the Game.
Well,
An up-and-coming freelance writer who absolutely loves the game of pinball ends up working for GQ magazine and meeting his dream girl. But he becomes the key focal point in a case against the New York Supreme Court to prove that gaming is not gambling, which will change the course of gaming history forever. What I liked about this movie is it felt very, very much independently made. And for some people that could be hit or miss, but this really does feel like it came out of a passion for the background of what pinball is. Because pinball is really, if you think about it, one of the first console-style games. I mean, it predates arcades, it predates really any sort of home console you could ever have, and it predates definitely most things that we ever had to gather around and play. So, I mean, this and maybe pool. It's so weird that the rules and laws that were put into place to prevent it from ever being popularized were based solely off of weird political strife of people that didn't even understand how the game mechanics work. Which I feel is a little more relevant now when you constantly see people, especially in the older culture, that don't understand newer technology, kind of poo-pooing on newer technology or more popularized technology because of the fact that they don't get it. And just because you don't understand it doesn't mean you can't just support it. And it's kind of interesting how that kind of dynamic worked. Also, it's interesting to point out that the guy who this story is based around really was just a struggling writer. Like, he was just a guy who really just wanted a job, and things kind of just fell into place, and he ended up working at these magazines. It is kind of funny because a lot of these people in the gaming sphere, so to speak, are very much just in a cycle of right place, right time, or sometimes wrong place at right time, and it's kind of interesting to see different perspectives on that because it kind of takes us out of the narrative, but it kind of keeps us interested to go, well, I would never understand that experience, but I kind of want to see where this goes. We know what happens at point C, but we don't know what happened at point A to B, so we kind of want to see how that goes and progresses, and I feel that this movie does a pretty decent job. Although obviously it's very, very limited in its budget, and the cast is okay. The younger version of the main guy is tolerable. He's not fantastic, but he's tolerable. And the girl that becomes his wife is very, very more carrying the room of the story. And I think that's intentional. It's kind of weird that they had an actor playing the older, real version of him telling the story, because it's kind of weird, because it's like, it gives me vibes of like, feel like this didn't really happen. I know it did, but I don't know. It's just, I think it could have been better if they had the actual guy on the movie being the narrator. Like, that would have been kind of cool. But, I mean, that's kind of a minor nitpick. And again, considering this is an independent film, you really have to take it with a fistful of salt. But if you're willing to give it a shot and kind of see what happened with the idea of how pinball machines never became a thing popular enough, and if that hadn't ever happened, we wouldn't have video games. So it is kind of funny how things worked out. I give Pinball, the Man Who Saved the Game, 3.5 out of 5. Have you seen Pinball, the Man Who Saved the Game? Have you seen Pinball, the Man Who Saved the Game? Let me know in the comments down below. And keep on enjoying Game Month.